Hello, Yearbook. It's good to finally be able to talk to you all as a class rather than as along with the other English classes and everything else like that. I hope you all are doing well today, and welcome to our first week of lessons. So, we've got a little bit to talk about today. I'm not going to keep today too long because there's a little bit of work you all have to do today with doing some homework and stuff like that. So I want to keep mainly the lesson stuff as short as I can today, and more so help you all out with giving you all some ideas of what Yearbook is going to look like this year, give you all sort of an introduction to the class, and then have you all start generating some ideas is what we're looking forward to doing. So let me put this camera down. All right. Now, there we go. All right. So, some of you all who are new to this class, what is the purpose of Yearbook? So, I hope most of you are in here because you are interested in actually creating a yearbook and creating something for the school. But if you're in here thinking this will be an easy grade to get or anything like that, oops, no, it's. I don't think it's going to be an easy grade, particularly this year. It's going to be a bit tougher, which we'll get into that later. But the purpose of this class. In this class, we will be working collaboratively to create a yearbook that is a reflection of the school year. Of course, our collaborative work is going to look different for now, but we will figure that out as the year goes on. But there is still a lot of collaboration in Yearbook. Yearbook is very much a working together type of environment. So, yeah, very collaborative. And also, you guys are going to have to, be just team players and everything like that. The class will be led not only by me, even though I am the advisor for the yearbook and everything like that. I am not the only one that's going to be leading everything. You all are also going to be leaders too. Some of you all I'm going to be appointing as editors of the yearbook itself. An editor is a very important position where you're basically organizing the yearbook yourselves and what it looks like. Of course, I'll be there to help, and I'll be there to make sure everything's going smoothly, but there is a certain amount of leadership from you all. And this class is independent in more ways than some other classes are because I'll be taking a lot of suggestions from you all. It isn't just going to be me dictating what the yearbook looks like, me commanding you all what to make it look like. There will be a lot of you all getting to give me suggestions as well and giving me some ideas of what you would want the yearbook to look like. In the process of creating a yearbook, we will be honing skills of using language effectively, communicating with others. Communication is going to be a big one this year, and being a team unit. So yeah, that's just the general stuff that we're going to get into, and of course we're going to get into it a lot deeper as we go throughout the year. But these are the general purposes of the class. Now I'm going to show you all a video real quick, and this is going to tell you all yearbook from the eyes of other students who have been involved in yearbook in the past and everything like that. And audio should be on, so I will go ahead and get that started. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take my camera away.
One of those things that changed your whole personality thinking and changing you.
You learn so much more than in any other class that I've taken or any other club that I've been a part of.
It's a big change. It's nothing I've ever done in any other class.
Honestly, it kind of stepped me out of my comfort zone. I wasn't a very creative person, and this year I really had to learn to be.
Oh, it's awesome. It's like the best feeling ever. You see the book come out, and it's beautiful, and you're just like, I did that. I made that.
When I see my work in print, I feel good. It feels nice to be able to know that you've worked so hard on a product and that it's actually out there. It's not one of the things that we do in high school a lot, which is write a paper or write an essay that only gets seen by your teacher. It's something that is seen by the whole school potentially, and everyone gets to see your hard work pays off.
It's ironic that people say, wow, we need 21st century learning in our schools, and all I want to say is, well, why don't you just come down and hang in the journalism room for a little bit, and we're the model of what you wanted.
I've definitely learned to be more businesslike and be more mature around others.
So one of the things that we found challenging as a business, as we go out in the world and look to hire new people to come into our business, particularly the younger folks, is to find the ones who can tell a story. Right? In almost every position, in every business, the ability to frame your thinking and to tell a story in a way that's logical and consistent and conveys meaning to the reader, that's a skill that's almost disappeared.
When you're working on a story, you are the one that's the expert on that story. So I think that it develops you as a person to have to go out there, learn about a subject, and then you're responsible for conveying that concisely to your audience.
The critical thinking of Yearbook is not just about how do we get a book done, it's how do we get a book done together.
It has definitely affected my leadership roles throughout anything that I do. I'm a lot more well-spoken. I learn how to accomplish things, and I'm more timely.
We have students that are going into want to work at Intel, and that's all teamwork. We have students who want to be scientists and do research, and that's going to be teamwork and thinking creatively and critically, and I can't stress enough that problem-solving piece.
So you absolutely have to listen to everybody in the room. You have to understand what their desires are, what their needs are, what their wants are, and then you got to find a way to make it work with what you want out of that meeting.
I'm going to be a civil engineer, so being able to talk with a customer, understand the needs of a client, and be able to communicate back and forth is really essential.
The skill of leadership that you get from running this business with 30+ technically employees underneath you, they've been able to stand out from the rest, to move up faster, to be able to do more and develop a name for themselves and a really good reputation. They're very self-sufficient when they get out of this class because they've had to run a business. They enter the workforce prepared because of this class.
I created this whole entire portfolio in my resume, and I've been using it for job applications, all of my scholarships, so I just use so many different skills in so many different ways.
Besides learning the interviewing skills, the journalism skills, the photography, I think the most important one is learning patience and perseverance. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been stressed, but you just keep pushing through it, and I think that is the biggest thing that I took away from this, is learning that now I feel like I have the strength to push through things that are hard and work with people better.
What school, what job, what company isn't going to embrace that? We're creating people and employees that can do just about anything.
All right, so that was the video. I hope that you all saw the whole video. I accidentally paused the recording for a time, so I'm not really sure when I paused it. If you all didn't get to see the whole video, I'll look back in the video and try to get the full video up if you all didn't see it, but I think you all did. So, of course, as the video was showing, there's a lot of potential possibilities for Yearbook. There's a lot of things you all can think about, like getting to become leaders in the classroom, getting to incorporate business skills, things like that, and even like becoming better at certain job skills. This might give you a good portfolio and stuff, and it'll look good on resumes. So there's more to Yearbook than just, compiling pictures together and everything like that. This will be not an entirely easy or easygoing process, especially this year. I'm just going to be honest. We have a complicated year ahead of us. We are not going to have things easy. Because we're starting online this year, we have a lot more to think about. How are we going to create this yearbook with a lack of clubs and less school events? Now, I don't exactly still know what clubs are meeting, if any, at Owen County High School right now. I'm thinking that probably hardly any are meeting, unless maybe by Zoom meetings. Some of them are. I'm going to be reaching out to teachers and asking about that. And of course, there's going to be less school events, like we don't know about if there's going to be a homecoming or anything like that. So with that in mind, it's going to be harder to create a conventional yearbook. I have the yearbook from last year in here in my room, and these yearbooks will be delivered eventually to houses. I think Justin's, the yearbook people who we're working with, they made some mistakes with not providing the proper customizations to certain yearbooks. So they're redistributing them next week with the proper customizations and everything like that. But even with the yearbook last year, even though you all did go online in March, there was still plenty of events to include in the yearbook, so the yearbook was still able to be filled out with a lot of typical events, like homecoming and games and clubs and things like that. This right now, we don't have anything like that, except for maybe some sporting events and things like that. Now, that's something we're going to have to think about. That's something we're going to have to consider. We're going to have to improvise on the yearbook, and it's going to have to look different in many ways for now. Taking pictures using cameras, this is something else we'll have to consider. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the camera policy will be. Since you all are allowed to come up to school, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to lend you all the cameras that I have here, the professional grade cameras I have here, to take pictures of certain events and stuff like that. But it'll be like you'll have to arrange an appointment and come up here, and I'll figure that out when we get to that place. We're not there yet, of course, but when we get there, I'll talk about that. And do you all have your own cameras? Do you all have your own cameras at home that you can use? That's something that I'll need to know, and we'll figure that out later this week too. I'm going to send out a bit of a questionnaire later this week asking some general information about your previous experience in yearbook, if any, and like equipment you have at home and stuff like that, because it'll be helpful if you all have some of you all have your own equipment you can use as well. If you don't, of course, that's not a problem, but that is something to think about as well. Now, these are just some of my ideas for a yearbook right now. And these are only the starting points. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you all. I am pretty new to this whole yearbook thing myself. Now, at Woodford County last semester, I did help a little bit with the yearbook. I wasn't the teacher for the yearbook, but I did help a little bit with it in some ways. So when they asked me in my interview if I would be willing to go onto yearbook for Owen County, I said yes, but I was also honest in saying that I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it, and I'd be new to it, so I'd be figuring it out. But I guess they trusted me enough to be on for this, though. I'm going to be learning as much as you all are this year. Of course, I've already got some ideas about what we can do for yearbook, but a lot of this is going to be a learning process. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of learning together, which, is a good thing to do. And I think this yearbook class will look different than my other classes because I'm not going to be the only one teaching in here. You all are also going to have your own leadership roles. You all are also going to be having some taking over in this class. Some of you all I'm going to be hiring on as editors. Well, hiring, you all aren't getting paid, but I'll be hiring some of you all on as editors, which means you all will be in charge. Those of you will be in charge of putting the yearbook together and editing things out that you don't think need to be there and stuff like that. And this class is going to be very independent in many ways. Sometimes I'll just be cutting you all loose and letting you all do your own thing, which means that I won't always be standing over your all shoulders. Of course, I'll be making sure the yearbook is flowing smoothly, but a lot of this will be up to you all as to creating a good yearbook. And I'll be guiding you all along in that process in whatever ways I can. So here's some of my ideas for what we could do for yearbook just initially. Start a social media page to promote yearbook. I think this is very important for this year in particular when we are not in person. I think creating pages on places like Facebook, maybe even Twitter, although Facebook will be a better spot for parents and stuff, and maybe even staff. Creating these social media pages to promote yearbook and to ask people for pictures, and a central hub where people could submit pictures if they wanted to, things like that, I think would make a social media page very efficient and very effective for a year like this. Also, sports practices and games. There are certain sports that are practicing like now, such as I think football's practicing, maybe even basketball. I'm not sure exactly what other sports I'm going to have to. That's something I'm going to be collecting information on. And even games. There will be games that will be going on, so we have to take pictures of those. We have to compile the year, and that means right now we have to compile things that are going on right now. And Sometimes that'll mean just me having to go out and take some pictures, especially if no one else can. I'm not sure what the policy will be on allowing students into games and stuff like that. Maybe they'll allow some yearbook students into games. I'm hoping that will be the case. But we'll see what happens there. But of course, we're going to have to. If we didn't take pictures of anything, if we didn't submit pictures of anything right now, this would leave a significant hole in our school year. And this would be a year where the yearbook will be interesting, I would say, would be the understatement there, just showing what a year of online learning would look like. And to be honest, I'm not sure when we will be back in person, and I'm sure you all are thinking the same thing, that there is a possibility we could be online this whole semester, a very high possibility. So we have to consider that. We have to keep that scenario in mind, that we will be online for the rest of the semester. And even though that's not guaranteed, we have to take that into account when planning this yearbook. Send me pictures that you've already taken. Some of you all have probably already taken some pictures, and I'm curious to see what those would be for the start of the school year. So submit me those, or submit me pictures your parents have taken. Maybe your parents have taken pictures of you working online or things like that. Those are pictures that I can use too. Pictures of you maybe if you're in a sport doing training, things like that. Also pictures of Google Meets and Zoom calls. These don't have to be just pictures of you all in your classes doing Google Meets, but it can be you all taking pictures of you and your friends talking on Google Meets. That'd be interesting to have in the yearbook, just pointing out how in this time we weren't able to meet with our friends in person all the time. We sometimes had to meet with them online in Google Meets and stuff like that. That'll be something that'll be interesting to document in the yearbook. And finally, asking teachers and parents and so on and so forth for pictures that they already have. This will be very helpful. It doesn't just have to be us submitting the pictures. We can get pictures from other people too. If it was only us, then I think it would be a more stressful situation probably. But having that help from other people will be a great asset. All right, important things to keep in mind. This isn't going to be easy. I'm going to be honest. It won't be an easy year for yearbook. We're going to have to consider a lot of different things. So don't be afraid to make mistakes and to ask questions. It's okay if you make a mistake this year. It's okay if you don't know something, because I'm going to have questions too. I'm going to make mistakes too. And it's important that we just be honest about those and be upfront about them rather than letting those mistakes become huge or serious consequences. We need to address them when they happen and just overcome them in whatever ways we can. Number 2, collaborate. This is going to be so important for this year. Working together with one another, and working with our teachers, our fellow teachers, and our parents even. There will be a huge need for communication this year by whatever means possible. And sometimes that means you're going to have to take initiative on your own. If you're wanting to interview a sports player, for an example, you will have to arrange a Google Meet or something with them. If you're wanting to get some pictures from a staff member, you may have to reach out to them by email and ask them for those pictures. Things like that. Sometimes we'll have to work together as a staff, and that might mean more frequent Google Meets for us than for my other classes, since this class is just more collaborative and more hands-on by nature. And even during this time, it'll still have that vibe to it. And finally, an optimistic attitude. We need to try and stay positive during this. I know that it's going to be tough to create a yearbook during this time, but we still have to keep positive. If we're constantly being negative, if we're constantly being as negative as possible, then this yearbook will not come together in a good way, or the way we would want it to. Now, this doesn't mean that we're being idealistic. That's very important. We have to be realistic about what's in the yearbook. We have to be honest about what we can include and what might have to be cut, what we might have to improvise around. If we're being realistic and optimistic at the same time, then that's a good combination, in my opinion. Now, before I get into homework for today, I wanted to go ahead and show you all briefly the yearbook website. Let's see, okay. So the website we'll be using, which I'm sure those of you who have taken yearbook before, you all know what this is, but this is Yearbook Avenue, and this is the website we're going to be using for creating our yearbook. Now, we've got a couple deadlines already listed here. First deposit is due December 1st, 2020. I believe this means the first money deposit. Now, our first deadline isn't until next year in January. Now, that might seem like far away, but when you think about all we have to do, we're going to stay busy. But since we do have that time frame, there's a lot of things we can do, a lot of pictures we can take, everything like that. But those first 38 pages, they are due in January. So keep that in mind. I'm going to be showing you all more of this classroom as we get deeper into the yearbook, but this is generally what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be using the digital classroom a lot for us, using lesson plans from here and stuff, which will help us with figuring out the yearbook and things like that. But this is a website, this is a central hub where we are going to be, creating our yearbook, putting things together, everything like that. Now, let me go, where was I going to go? Staff. Going to go to staff. Now, you all will have your names under here eventually, but I'm going to be inviting you all eventually to this page. In fact, I'll try to invite most of you all today and send you all those invites. And yeah, just accept your invite when you get it, essentially, is what I'm going to do. Now, let me show you all what your homework is for today. First of all, I want you all to complete the yearbook spread to-do list. This will be posted in Google Classroom. Now, it's going to be part of a 4-page PDF. Only focus on page 2. And hopefully, I'm really hoping that this PDF will work for you all like it did for me, where you all can type things into these little lined boxes here. Now let me read the questions here. A yearbook spread represents numerous tasks that must be completed through the collective effort of several yearbook staff members working as a team. Now we're going to have to ignore the partner or small group part. If you all do want to work with one another, then go ahead and get into Google Meets or whatever, or email among one another. That's fine with me if that's something you all want to do. But I want you all to identify and list as many tasks as possible that must be completed to create the yearbook spread shown below. Consider each verbal and visual element and the tasks involved in producing each. Photos alone have a multitude of tasks, from planning photo content and assigning a photographer to cropping and captioning, which you all might not be familiar with all these terms, that's fine. But after some generating of ideas, you all will create these. Of course, you all aren't going to be able to share these with the class. We can't do that right now, but I'll be showing these when you all turn them in at some point. The due date for this, I think I'm going to try to make it by the end of the week. I will have the official due date posted on Google Classroom, but you all need to type in what specific duties or specific steps you would need to take for each of these tasks. Some of these you may not know, and if you don't know, then just honestly put, I don't know. And let me zoom in on this so you all can see this a little better. So for an example, with a quote, you might write down like interview a person, because a quote means that it's coming from a specific person that you are talking to. So you need to arrange an interview with that person. Things like that. Captions, there's also feature stories, headlines, and photos. So type each of these, just hypothesize or brainstorm what types of things might be included in these. There's really no wrong answer here, so this is more just you all coming up with your ideas for what these things might include. Now, let me go back here. Accept your invite to Yearbook Avenue is your second task. Hopefully you all will see those in your email. I will be sending those today. And then finally, begin thinking about different ideas for pictures, captions, and events we can include in the yearbook. Later this week, I will be assigning you all an assignment where I have you all put down your ideas for what pictures and captions and stuff we could include in the yearbook right now. But yeah, that's about it for today. I know we've got a lot to think about. We've got a lot to think about. So just don't stress too much over this. Don't be overthinking it right now. Let's just come up with general ideas. Let's come up with initial ideas. We're going to take this one step at a time. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. And until then, I will see you all probably tomorrow. I will be recording another lesson. So thank you all so much and have a good day.